Subtitles. Let me tell you this. Are you ready to dive into this story? Of course, Dexter. This is quite a surprise. He's basically unlocking the Big Emmy mode, and Emma's expression is like she's stuck. Maybe he's excited, disheartened, or struggling with self-soothing. But right now, he has to stash those emotions deep inside. No tears allowed. By the way, do you know who the father is? Don't joke around, just joking. Congratulations, father figure. No, at this moment, he needs to switch back to best friend mode. You're going to be an awesome dad. Do you genuinely believe that? If just a second later he can't keep up this act. I've lost you, Dexter. I really lost you. I'd give up everything just for you to be mine. This kiss wrapped up their friendship in a subtle way. It almost pretended to be romantic. Mischances are just mischances. We were MIA when we needed each other the most, and even if we patch things up from this night, let's just be buddies again. On July 15, 2001, Dexter became a super dad, juggling kids, crammed onto the bus, and grinding away at some factory job. What a success. But his wife had an affair with that successful buddy of his, right during last year's wedding. On July 15, 2003, Dexter divorced under green tea torture. He cleaned up his act and headed to Paris to see Emma, now a somewhat famous author. Dexter had plans to rekindle old flames, but this time he was too late. Emma had already found herself a teacher boyfriend. She is with a true musical genius from France, and Dexter feels a twinge of jealousy, grumbling that Emma had originally planned to take him to meet her new boyfriend. But down and out Dexter declined, watching the short-haired, radiant Emma walk into the concert hall with another man is hard to miss. Maybe he knew this time Emma wouldn't wait for him, and this turning point meant they were done for good. He wandered aimlessly through the streets of Paris, deciding he'd leave the next day since staying held no purpose anymore. Just as he arrived at the riverside, he suddenly heard someone shouting out his name. Upon hearing his name, he thought about bringing his daughter over, yet he dared not do so. He didn't dare to. He really dared not do it. This made him feel quite uneasy. Dexter has a child of theirs, but nearing 40 isn't easy. Until 2006, they still delayed pregnancy. Emma longed to be a mom. Meanwhile, Dexter was remarkably patient, understanding Emma's feelings, comforting her with a suggestion of catching a movie after. Then they'd grab a bite and tackle any problems that popped up. That day, Emma went swimming as usual. After her swim, she left Dexter a message saying she'd be late, but she was on her way. She was feeling awful this morning, and Dexter waited at their date spot. Listening to Emma's message, picturing the sweetness of their meeting, he wanted to say, "You're such a good person. I'm right here with you." Subtitles. I love you deeply, and I sincerely hope you can perform even much better. She crossed the street with her usual stride, filled with anticipation and excitement. However, the joyful melody came to a sudden halt. They ultimately couldn't walk hand in hand to the terminal of happiness. On July 15, 2007, Dexter clutched Emma's nightgown, waking up in tears, feeling her absence crumbling his life again. She always drowned her sorrows in alcohol, saw a girl like Emma, couldn't resist flirting, got beaten badly, and passed out on the stairs. Days like this replayed who knows how many times. His daughter's caretaker, Sylvie, took him back to his dad's. On the way, his daughter didn't even look at him in disdain, refusing to let her hand touch her beloved bunny. The father and son sat in front of the TV eating dinner. Is this what we call the annual holiday? What do you think? Every July 15, the father held back, as this was their most heartfelt moment. I think the best thing you can do is to settle down here as much as possible. Just like Emma is still around, right? I don't know if I can do it. Of course you can. I think I've done something over these 10 years. 2 years later, Dexter started a little shop. His life seemed to get back on track, and then on July 15, Ian showed up. He was no longer that comedian, but the guy stepping into insurance with a wife and kids, here to say goodbye to the past. He once hated Dexter for winning Emma's love for no reason, but people are curious. Emma was no longer just a little girl. In fact, she was only really happy when she was with Dexter. Perhaps that's what they call chemistry. This line served as the perfect finishing touch to Dexter and Emma's story. Observing Ian leading such a wonderful life, Dexter found himself deeply lost in thought. If you really enjoyed this story, make sure not to forget to subscribe to our channel.